everybody, so today I'm going to bring you a long-awaited video called Cystic Acne. What is cystic acne? And I talked about doing this video in a lot of other videos, and I finally kind of figured out, to the best of my ability, kind of researched it and really tried to figure out as much as I can that I'm ready to bring to you. So again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a professional, nothing like that. Be sure to talk to your doctor. Be sure to do your own research. Don't just take my opinion, actually research it, and take different sources, because that's what I do to find my information. But I want you guys to know a little bit about what I think that I know about cystic acne, and kind of help you guys understand it a little bit more like I promised earlier. So first off, what is cystic acne? There's kind of like two forms of cystic acne. There's the actual cystic, and then there's nodular cystic. And it's kind of debating whether that's the same or whether it's two different things. But either way, cystic acne or nodular cystic acne is the most severe form of acne that people can get. And what's different about this is that it doesn't just appear here on the face, it appears all over the entire body, sometimes on the back, generally on the back and here at the jawline, but it can appear other places too. What it is that the blemishes are very, very large. They can even be a couple centimeters across in extreme cases. Like there have been cysts that are like this big, like legitly. And they're basically these pockets of inflamed matter underneath the skin. Cysts feel like they're kind of squishy, they're kind of soft, they're like fluid-filled acne pimples underneath the skin. They're like these big bumps underneath the skin of fluid, and sometimes you can squeeze on them a little bit, like they're a little bit squishy. And nodular cystic acne is when it is like rock hard. They are these big inflamed rocks underneath your skin with a little bit of cushion around them, and they're just painful and terrible, and they usually happen around the jaw and the back of the shoulders area, but they're underneath the skin and they're very, very difficult to get rid of. There's also nodular cystic acne, and nodular cystic acne is a little bit different because it's nodular cystic acne along with regular cysts. Nodules are hard, and they're the ones that are really, really painful. They're the lumps that are underneath, and they're a lot larger than, either cysts or, they're about the same size as cysts, but either way, cystic acne and nodular cystic acne is a lot larger than the regular pimples, like the little volcanoes that we're normally going to get on our face. These nodules and these cysts, they form really, really deep in the skin, in the bottom layers of the skin, because the skin has like 7 different layers that we talk about in the 7-layer video and the scarring video. So in those different layers, of course, if they're really deep down, they're a lot harder to get to. They're very, very hard to treat. And so in the controversy between cystic acne and nodular cystic acne, some doctors have said acne cysts are not necessarily acne cysts. They're just nodular cystic acne that is very, very inflamed, which explains why it's a little bit more fluid and a little bit more pussy. So is it two different things, or is it one that just turns into another? We don't really know. So the other thing is that if you do have this form of acne, you need to see a dermatologist. You need to. We have a video on when is it time to see the dermatologist. You may want to go check that out if you have kind of mild acne. But if you are getting cysts, you need to see a dermatologist. If you can't afford a dermatologist, go to a skincare esthetician. Find someone who knows about skin, because cystic acne is very, very severe. Now, cystic acne can affect absolutely anyone, any age, any race, any skin color, anything like that. The most common is teenage boys or young men, Caucasian or of that skin ethnicity, and then it also appears in the 30s of men who are of Caucasian descent. For women, it appears in the 40s, and it doesn't appear much in the teenage years. Now, of course, there is always exceptions to that. You guys know that I had terrible, terrible cystic acne. I'm actually going to show you a picture right now of my cystic acne. So yes, it's gotten a little bit better since then, but is that a cat? Hi, Cuckoo. He's just gonna kind of freak out there. He's being a little attention buddy. But cystic acne is very, very severe. I used to have it. It has gotten a little bit better, which I'm so happy to be able to take you guys through my journey with me. But even though those are the general spectrum of who's affected, it totally, totally, totally doesn't always fall to those lines. There are so many exceptions in between, and it can really happen to absolutely anyone, any age, any race, any skin color, anything. If you're human, you can pretty much get cystic acne. Let's talk a little bit about the causes of cystic acne. This is kind of hard because cystic acne is different than pimples, but it can be some of the same causes. And the thing is that the causes of cystic acne are very, very different and kind of controversial too. I'll first tell you what kind of the doctors say about cystic acne. Doctors and healthcare professionals usually say that cystic acne is caused by overactive oil glands. The sebaceous glands inside of our skin, the ones that lubricate our skin naturally, are really, really overproductive. Now, bacteria lives in that oil. It feeds off of that oil. Without that oil, that bacteria can't live. So if you have an overproduction of oil, first off, that oil is very, very irritating to the inside of the skin if it's too much and if it's trapped up in there. Second off, if bacteria is feeding off of that, there's going to be an increase of bacteria, which is just like a swarming ground for them to breed and reproduce and really wreak havoc on your skin. This particular bacteria that they believe is the culprit is Propionibacteria acnes. Oh yeah. So I don't exactly know how to pronounce that, but that is one of the worst kind of bacteria that can cause the most inflammation and the most problems in skin. And it is believed that that's the kind of bacteria that feeds off of sebaceous oil, and when you have a lot of sebaceous oil trapped under the skin, it's like a little bubble underneath your skin. And when that's all trapped up in there and that bacteria is feeding off of it, those bacteria are going to keep growing, they're going to keep producing, and it's just going to get a bigger and bigger cyst, and there's going to be more oil pumping out, and it's just a bad, bad situation. The other thing is that there could be too much basically too much dead skin. We know that we have 7 layers and that what happens is that these layers are constantly renewing. Our skin naturally exfoliates. Now for people who do have some acne, a lot of doctors think that, oh, maybe your skin isn't exfoliating enough naturally, so they give you products or creams or medications to do that naturally. Sometimes that's the culprit, sometimes it's not. Now with cystic acne, it could be the culprit where your skin isn't sloughing off enough and it's causing almost like a plug on the top, and your skin can't renew, so it gets all caught up in there. That could be. And if you guys use retinoid creams or an exfoliator, that should help. But if your cystic acne is not caused by that, then it's really not going to do any good. And a lot of times, I personally believe it's not, because I was on so many skin thinners, skin thinning medications, and I still had freaking like big old pumply things like all up in my face. So mine was not because I wasn't renewing my skin. Mine was either, you know, the bacteria and the oil, or what I personally think, hormones. And this is kind of controversial. Not everyone believes this. A couple doctors say yes, a couple doctors say no. Who knows? I definitely believe that cystic acne can be caused by impurities in the blood. What happens is that the skin has 7 layers. These cysts are formed at the bottom of those layers of skin. The bottom is very, very close to the bloodstream. Now, if we have a lot of toxins in our diet, if we aren't eating right, or if we're allergic to certain foods that we're eating, we may not swell up and get itchy, but we may be allergic to it and our skin just doesn't react right to it. Our body can't process it the way it'll process other things. Won't wreak havoc on our skin, but if we can't process it correctly, maybe a culprit. And when this is all in the bloodstream, and when our blood is feeding our skin, if there's all these toxins, those are going to get into our skin, and those have to get out somehow. The other thing is hormones. Hormones can definitely cause acne. This also goes for stress hormones. So whether it's puberty hormones or whether it's stress hormones, which is usually the case in adults. If you're an adult and you have cystic acne, it's probably to do with diet and stress. If you've never had it as a child or things like that, again, that's not always the case, but that's just personally what I think. Let me know if you guys agree or if you disagree. But I definitely think that stress and hormones like that can cause these nodules in the skin, can cause the skin to form differently, can cause different androgens floating around in your bloodstream, different hormones in your blood, and when those hormones in the blood feed the skin, it's going to cause a little bit of problems there. So then inflamed blemishes, like these inflamed things, sometimes happen when like the wall ruptures inside of your skin. We have a little hair follicle, we have our pore, right? This is a pore and we have a follicle that goes through. Sebaceous gland is off here to the side and pumping in oil just to lubricate that naturally. Too much and it's going to get really, really big. So let's say we have this follicle and it can't all get out the top. Maybe there's a plug. It's just not working. It's too deep in the skin. So this keeps on pumping out, it keeps on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. What happens is that eventually that pore is not big enough to hold all that stuff. So eventually, it's going to rupture. So now, this is like a big old mass, and guess what? There's 2 follicles that have basically come into one. They're both filled with pus. And again, there's still those oils pumping in, and they get bigger and bigger, and they pop again. The walls rupture, and then they just kind of get bigger and bigger and bigger, which is what causes some of these huge cysts. That's also why you shouldn't pick at your cysts, because they're so deep into your skin. If you try to pop one of these, what are you going to do? It's not going to be able to force its way out, it's going to force its way shallow. So instead of forcing out of our skin, it's going to force farther into our skin. So that's why if you pick acne, here on the jawline especially, it may just kind of rupture more of those walls, and your cyst will just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger instead of coming out the way we need it to. If that pop happens near the skin's surface, it can usually get most of the stuff out there, it'll heal relatively quickly, etc. But like I said, when you keep on rupturing these walls, and especially for cystic acne when it's super deep, you guys can't get that out. It just spreads farther and farther, and it becomes more and more inflamed and painful and just kind of really cumbersome on the way you look, the way you feel, and the things that you do. Also, when these follicles, like when there's bacteria in this one and bacteria in this one, and they keep on growing and growing, and then they pop and they become one, all of a sudden we have all this bacteria swimming around. So the bacteria is just going to become more and more and more, the oil is going to go more and more and more, and it's just going to affect more things, more follicles basically, which is why you need to see a doctor if you have this condition. And again, for me, I was taking medication. I was on all sorts of medication. I'm not a candidate for Accutane, so I was not on Accutane. I was on everything else for 4 years. Okay, I was on retinoid creams. I had tried everything, and I was just having this issue. I could not get rid of it, and it was so detrimental on the way I felt and the way I looked and just the way I carried myself. Also, sometimes what happens is that when these follicles break, we have this big matter. Sometimes the skin is thinking to itself, and the skin says, yes, the skin talks, I decided. The skin says, oh my gosh, we have this bacteria, we have this mass, we have to control it. So what does it do? It creates almost a protective barrier around the cyst. So that way the cyst is a little bit more difficult to break out. Because naturally, you know, a follicle's infected, they're going to grow and grow. This is just going to happen, right? So the skin puts like a barrier around that. In some people, occasionally, it says, we're going to try to make this a mass. So what happens is that the skin creates this hard mass to try to contain this. That's what nodular cystic acne is. It's these hard lumps that the skin is trying to contain this stuff with. Now, if you pick nodular cystic acne, what's going to happen? It's going to break through that barrier that your skin already made. So now you're just spreading it all over again, and you're undoing what your skin is trying to help you with. The other thing is that with cystic acne is that it's not something that you can really cause, generally. Like with topical acne with like the little volcanoes, you may cause that by, not, washing properly or things like that. Cystic acne isn't really that much. It could be a little bit of makeup. It can be related to makeup, but it's more related to bacteria that the makeup is either causing or letting the bacteria grow in the makeup. It could be from eating really high glycemic foods. The reason why high glycemic foods are creating, basically if you eat sugary sweets, your blood sugar goes up. Insulin is a hormone that combats blood sugar. Insulin goes up, blood sugar goes up, insulin takes that blood sugar down. Now, insulin is a fat-causing hormone. When insulin levels go up, androgen levels go up. When androgen levels go up, acne goes up because androgen is related to stress. So, theoretically, indirectly, when your high glycemic intake of food, when sugary sweets are abundant in your body, it could cause acne just because of this little relation factor. Is that true or not? I don't know. That's just what I heard. That's what I've kind of researched and found out. It's kind of out there. In Europe, it's not a huge problem. In America, it's a huge problem. Doctors are kind of bought out by the industry sometimes here. Maybe not in other countries, but here it's a big problem where doctors will recommend something to a patient that's not really that good for them just because they're being paid to endorse that product. So also think about it. Doctors can't make money off of telling you to eat right and go to sleep and, be stress-free and meditate. They're not going to make any money because then your acne's going to go over there fine. But if they prescribe you a product and they said, well, you know what? Use this on your face and come back and see me in 2 months. They just made money off of a sale, or, they're helping this pharmaceutical company with a sale, and they are going to see you in another 3 months. So seeing a dermatologist is absolutely necessary. Always talk to your doctor, figure out what's best for you, find a doctor that you like. But do be aware that there is so much that does have to do with diet and exercise and sleeping and wellness in general. Because the skin is like a huge factory. Everything is tied into another thing, and if one thing goes wrong, something else is probably going to go wrong too. So maybe this is your skin's way of saying, hey, there's something in our body we don't like. There's a toxin, there's a food allergy, there's stress, something like that. Because cystic acne is not always caused the way regular acne is. So just kind of keep that in mind when trying to treat it or talking to your doctor. There's also the effects of cystic acne that can be pretty detrimental. What happens is that nodular cystic acne and cystic acne destroys skin tissue. It breaks down the collagen faster. You're going to get wrinkles faster. Reason why is because if we have all these cysts that keep on expanding and expanding, they're breaking we have our pores that get big. They're breaking these pore walls when they get too big. So we're destroying the inside of our skin without even meaning to, right? These cysts are ruining the inside of our skin because it's ripping the inside apart. Also, because of this, developing scars is very, very common. I have a ton of scars here that I'll probably show you guys. Reason why is because when we're breaking, we know that if we tap on the dermis, go look at the scarring video right now or else this won't make sense. What happens is that if we irritate our dermis, it's going to cause a scar. So you can imagine how irritating it is to the dermis if we just keep ripping our skin, if these pimples keep on ripping our skin on the inside. So all of that irritation to the dermis is going to cause scar tissue as the skin's way of protecting itself. Especially picking for cystic acne is so bad. Reason why is because when you pick, it's probably going to go further and it's going to, spread more, and then also it's going to scar more because you're ripping more of these follicles out sideways, and it's just this terrible disaster for scarring and bad tissue and all that kind of stuff. So if you guys can avoid it, please avoid it. Like, put something like on your fingers to remind you. It really helps me to have fake nails because it's like if I try to pick, it's not as easy, I guess. I don't know, that's just what helps me. So do whatever it takes for you guys to kind of remember not to pick and how important it is to avoid. And something that even worked for me, I have acne on my chest, on my shoulders, on my back, on my neck, on my face. What actually helped me stop picking my face was picking my back. And I know that's bad, but for me, I was saying I would rather have better skin on my face and suffer more on my back than suffer more on my back than my face. So it was like a trade. I stopped picking my face as much, and whenever I went to pick my face, I would just pick my back because it was almost like a release for me. And that sounds really gross, but it was a stress release for me. And that's what I had to do. So now I've gotten better, and I don't pick my back as much either, but every now I do. I just can't control it. But try to find that trade-off. Try to find something that works for you. Another thing that cystic acne can cause is depression, and that's kind of what happened to me. I was in school, I left school 2 years early. I did independent study, and I graduated 2 years early, basically because I didn't do traditional school. I was so self-conscious about the kids looking about me and about my skin and about trying to cover it up. I just thought, I'm gonna leave this, and I did independent study. And because I wasn't hanging out with my friends, I was embarrassed to be seen by my friends. So I did my independent study, and I just got done 2 years quicker, because what did I have to do all day? Homework or play with my cat. That's like all my life was. And I learned to apply makeup. I, researched things on YouTube. That's how I learned to apply it, and I could start modeling because I could cover it. But before that, it was just such a detrimental thing. And it really took a toll on my self-esteem and how I felt about myself. I wouldn't leave my room every morning to go eat breakfast in front of my family without putting makeup on, because I felt like they shouldn't have to see my ugly face. Like, I felt like I was doing a dishonor to the world. I felt like I wasn't worth being alive if people had to look at me. I felt like it was a burden for them. And now I kind of, I've grown, I've realized, I've matured, and I've understood that I wasn't the only one who was suffering with that. There are other people that suffer with acne, with cystic, with anything, and at that time, I didn't have those resources. I didn't know. So that's why I'm here, because I want to be a resource for you guys. If you feel alone, or if you know someone who feels alone, or if you feel like you can't do anything, know that there is someone else out there, and there is always, always hope. And I'm so happy I realized that. But if you guys ever are disclosing yourself from friends or staying away from friends, or if you feel like you don't want to go outside, those are natural feelings, but you should talk to a doctor just to see about maybe there's a way to feel better about yourself, or to come to terms with your acne, or to help your acne so that you do feel better. But if you're ever feeling depressed or ashamed, or if you want to hurt yourself or somebody else, please go see a doctor immediately, because they can probably help you with your acne, and even if they can't, they can help you feel better about your acne, controlling how you feel about your acne, so that even if you do have acne, you can feel confident to go outside. A lot of you right now are probably saying, Cassandra, what do you mean I could never go outside with this? But imagine, maybe there's a way to feel okay with it just until it does get better. And if that's possible, don't you want to try? So be sure to go check that out if that's the case. So then there's a lot of different treatments for cystic acne, and that's the thing, is that because the causes are so kind of jumbled, so are the treatments. Doctors usually prescribe antibiotics, which I personally am scared of because they ruined my intestines. I've had some problems, everything like that. They thin out your skin. There's topical medications, there's Accutane. Now for some people these treatments are great and they will work and they will fix everything. There's laser treatments and all that kind of stuff, but everyone is built differently and everyone is going to react differently. So you really do have to kind of try out different things and see what works for you. A lot of times I strongly believe that if you increase your water, if you have a good skincare regimen, if you get enough sleep, if you eat right, if you use the right products, and if you do what's right for your skin and just for your body in general, if you exercise, if you kind of maybe do meditation, it depends on what's causing your cystic acne. If your cystic acne is from a food allergy, cut out that food. Even if you don't know it, it can be hard because maybe you're allergic to something you don't know. Maybe it's just a slight irritation. If your cystic acne is caused by, let's say, lack of sleep or lack of exercise, go do that. Maybe it'll fix it. If your cystic acne is caused by food, like sugars and things like that, maybe cut those out. But sometimes it's none of those. Sometimes it's stress. Maybe try meditating. But if it is something else, you may have to use a topical cream. Or maybe you can't cut out a certain food. Maybe it's one of your favorite foods, and even though it's causing this stuff, you can't cut it out. Try another medication that the doctor can give you. Try a cream, maybe over the counter even. Just do whatever you can to find what's right for your body. So I know that this video is very long and it's very, very long awaited as well, but I really hope that this answers some of your guys' questions. And if you guys agree with this, if you guys disagree with this, if you know anything else, please post it in the comments, and that way we can all know more. And even if you don't suffer from cystic acne yourself, know that there is treatment for whatever acne you may have. And even if you don't have acne, maybe you're a parent and your child has acne, maybe this can help you help them treat it. Maybe you're a friend or a family member of someone that you know who has acne. Maybe you could send this to them. Maybe you could talk to them about their acne. And don't just go up and be like, you have acne and I want to talk about it. No, just say, hey, if you ever want to discuss it, maybe I can help you. Maybe we can talk about some treatments. Maybe you could watch this and it'll help you. I don't know, but just try to be there for everyone else, because I think that if we have the support network, it really just makes life much better, which is why I love you guys. This is like the best YouTube family ever. So I hope that you guys found this informative. I really love you. And if you guys have any questions or comments, post them in the bottom and we are all going to answer them and learn more about our skin. So be sure to stay tuned. I will probably post a video tomorrow or even later today or maybe in a day. I don't know. I try to post videos every day, but I love you guys very much. And until whenever that next video is, I love you guys. And I look forward to talking to you all very, very soon.